Welcome back, everyone. Last couple videos I put up had no audio. There was just too much stuff going on in the background, and really I didn't think they needed audio. They were not really much going on. Been working on making basically an RTS, and most recently working on the navigation mesh. That's the ocean here. You see this blue outline marks the areas that the what will be the AI controlled, or actually any controlled unit that isn't being directly steered by a player, will need the navigation mesh to know where it can and can't go. So obviously the boats cannot go on the ground. Another thing, I forgot about that. Let's just pop back in here without hitting a million things. Here we go. I don't want anything selected because I don't want to accidentally move it. Okay, so here we have an island that the navigation mesh originally wasn't picking up. So I placed an object in the around it that the navigation mesh process would find, and that's here. If I click bake mesh, is what it scans all the stuff and decides where the units can't go. Something that I didn't know is apparently the objects just have to be a visual mesh. They don't actually have to have a collision volume like this one does. I think that's this one right here. If you see, it has a collision shape. That collision shape actually isn't even needed. I'm just going to turn off now, and later I'm going to take that out. It just has to be the mesh. I didn't realize that when I first did it. But what we have here... Oh, apparently you can't focus that. What we have is basically the area, the play area for what would be the game, but as you can see, it's tiled. So there's a center tile, which is seamless, and I just did 9 other tiles for the border, because when you're playing, you're not really going to see too much. You're going to probably be about this close most of the time, and you're not going to see too much of the far distance. And there's going to be a radius probably about as far as these smaller islands here that you can actually get to. Jim and I did some work on it, and we figured out the bug with not being able to select or move off the island had to do with the detection of where the mouse was clicked. I'd only used a tile this big, so now it's set to the full size. In the previous versions, here, I'm going to turn a light on here and keep a light in each scene. This is the, I guess you'd call this the player base mesh. I put some collision volumes on it, so it becomes, as far as the game is concerned, a solid objects. Things can bump into it. I did this up in Blender and slowly been working on it and moving into the game, because Blender works really well with Godot. So I'm just going to turn that light on because I don't want it to add to what's going on in the main scene. We'll just save that. The unit, again, it has a light in here just so we can see it. It's just a boat, but right now it just has a spherical collision mesh, and that'll be important in a minute. Later you'll see it changes how this interacts with other objects. It's got a flag up here for showing team color, and there is a selection indicator that goes around it that's just a copy of itself inverted, so the faces are flipped in the wrong direction. If you're used to modeling, you'll understand that it's back facing with front face culled. And then a funny texture on it, and then there's an animation player that allows that to scroll. So see, it's just playing an animation player. Animations are very powerful in Godot. You can animate pretty much exactly everything. Anything in the engine can become an animation key and creates a new track. So what I'm going to do here is just return that back to the off, and make sure I haven't destroyed anything there. Directional light, we want that off. We don't want that affecting the main scene. Now with Godot, there's no prefabs like you'd see in Unity. Everything is a little scene, so all those pieces add up to what's going on in here. So this is some early tests, and that's one of the bigger units that I've yet to finish texturing and rigging. But what we have is those ones here. Now you see the lighting is correct. It's not too bright. I had too much. I'd accidentally left the area light on this in the directional light, so it had too much light. There's still some work to do. I still got to finish texturing this backside and getting this area filled in like I have the front. and some things on it. But anyhow, that's just the mesh that I'm going to use for the player object. This is where everything connecting on the internet for the networking side of it needs an object in game to reference everything out from. So the player mesh will actually be the base mesh, or the insert on the scene graph for the player object for the network will be that. So I'm just going to run it here now. You hear the dog barking outside. I'm just going to basically start a single player. Okay, so we have pretty much the simple cardinal motion, so you can go north, south, east and west. Sorry. The ships can be drag selected or target selected, but right now there's only just that little collision sphere in the middle near the stack. Enemy or other player units cannot be selected. Okay, so you can only select the ones that are available. And as you can see, when a unit is selected, it gets that outline, the animated outline. Now this is just a copy of the mesh. We're running in statically placed. There's no player associated with that. These ships are automatically given to player 1. So I'm going to zoom out here. And I'm going to send the ship over here. We're going to send them over here. And then just for fun, to show that the collision is working, I'm going to send that ship up and around over here. In fact, I'm going to reorient him, send him there. Now, when we come down here, we have the actual player object. This would be network sync to any other connected players, and it's capable of rotating and moving because it thinks this is the front of the ship where the big tanks are. So whether I leave it moving or not, I probably will. This is going to be where the player main control point, it would be like if you're playing some of the other RTS games, it would be like your mobile command center. You can still select the ships, but what I want to show you is the collision object is now active on this. But because it's just a little ball in the middle of here, it can get into places that maybe it can't, maybe it shouldn't, because it doesn't have a boat-shaped collision shape on the ships. So it can get into the little gap that it probably shouldn't. And looks like it had enough force to move the mesh. Huh. That's pretty funny. Yeah, it moves the mesh a little bit. Let's see if I can... No, I can't move it. It's an immovable object. Yeah, see, I can't move these things. They're being controlled by script right now. But it can move the... Yeah, it's... I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard with the waves. It's barely moving this mesh. Just because of the mass of that mesh. Now, if we leave this here, we should see our... Yep, our ship made it all the way out here. Now, with the fix that Jim and I got working yesterday, there's no reason why I couldn't send that ship. Oh, I don't know. Send him over there. He'll go there. And the other thing I'm going to quickly show, because you don't get to see it in the stills or explain it, is I have to fix the wake. It's, if you notice there, once it reaches its maximum length, the animation sort of follows the ship. I guess it's not that bad, because I think this will be about as close as you guys actually get to the units in the game. This might be the minimum height. I have it set we can go lower. I'm not sure. I have to get some feedback from you guys to see if you do like being able to get this low. But yeah, that's the state of things right now. And hopefully I'll have this couple commands I got to get done for controlling the seek and the flee and a few of the other behaviors of the units that you'd be used to in your RTS. But if you notice now, it moves very quickly. It's way too sharp. You can actually see the sharp lines in the wake for where parts of the wake polygons overlap, and that shouldn't happen. It should be little tiny... See, I'm simulating lots of little movements. It should be making curved movements. I'm doing that by constantly clicking my mouse as fast as I can here. Anytime that I have a gap, you get that sharp turn effect. The other thing that there is no system for now is ship versus ship avoidance and collision. I'm going to have to come up with that. The actual collision mesh will handle some of that, but I'm going to have to do some basic flocking and positioning algorithms. basically a little system that if the ships get close enough to each other and what it wants to get to is near that ship, it'll note that there's a friendly immovable object. I'm going to have a look at that and do some research on it. But next I need to try and make the seek work today, and the seek with arrival. So what that is if we're driving here and I tell him to come back this way and his target is this spot here, this boat, I want it to maybe start slowing down here so it doesn't come smashing in. But we'll see how that goes. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.